I finally got my Rolex back from service. Essentially what was happening is the watch was losing 4 to 5 seconds a day. So I took it into my AD and they said that they can do a regulation on it. It took about a week and a half and I got it back, and I have been wearing this watch non-stop for the last 2 weeks. And so in this video, we're gonna have a nice little chat about wearing this watch for a week, what happened with service, and one unfortunate problem that I have with this watch still. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Caden. I'm a fellow watch nerd, and I have been wearing my dream watch on my wrist every single day. If you look back to my previous video, I kind of talked about what it felt like attaining and getting my Grail watch. But at the time, my watch was losing 4 to 5 seconds. And Rolexes are rated as superlative chronometers, meaning it's accurate from a range of -2 to +2 seconds a day. With most of the people that I know having Rolexes, theirs running well within that, almost running like perfect. And so I had some pretty high expectations when I was purchasing this watch, and when I found out that it was losing that much time, I was devastated. Thankfully, we have an awesome local AD, and they were able to regulate it and get it running good. And so in the first week of wearing it, every single day, non-stop, whether I was eating or sleeping or in the shower or whatever, when you average it all out, it's gaining 1.25 seconds a day, which is within Rolex's standards. It's not perfect, but I am just pleased that it is now running well and how a Rolex should be running. But I've actually had this wrist on my watch for a couple weeks now, and I've learned some things about this watch, mostly good, but one specific thing that is just, we'll talk about it later. For me, when I imagine the ultimate daily wear watch, I have a little checklist of things that I'm looking for the watch to have. A legible dial/hand layout, with ideally some fat hands thrown into the mix. A black or a white clean dial. An accurate movement, it needs to be waterproof, and it's a bonus if it is a GMT with a date. That's just my favorite complication to have, especially for a daily watch. It just gives me the most information. And so if a watch can hit all of these checklist items, it's usually a pretty good contender as a good everyday wear watch. On top of all those things, I really need to be attracted to the design of the watch. And let me tell you, I am obsessed with the Rolex Explorer 2's design. The contrast between the black and the white on the dial, with the hands and the indices having bold black accents, the way Rolex designs their cases and their lugs and their bracelets, as a whole combination, I feel like they just make such an insanely well designed product. But within all of their products that they make, it's the Explorer 2 that I'm most drawn to. The way that it's brushed around the bezel, in contrast to how contrasting the 24-hour scale is on the bezel. Some are not a fan of it, but I am a huge fan of the Mercedes hands, especially here on the Explorer 2 with the oversized fat Mercedes hands. And knowing me, orange is my favorite color. And so to have that orange GMT hand and the orange Explorer 2 text on the dial, all these things for me really are just A+ points in terms of design of this watch. And to say that I have been obsessed with this watch is kind of an understatement. I would even go as far as to say that I could get rid of my entire watch collection and only have this watch, and this watch be the perfect one watch collection. That was actually kind of the thought that was running through my head as I was wearing this every single day for a week. And so as I went throughout my week and I was wearing it, I had that thought in my head of, could I really get rid of all of my watches and only have this as my final and one watch? And I don't want to spoil it, but the answer is almost. Allow me to explain. The thought of having a one watch collection is kind of nonsensical in and of itself. The purpose of collecting anything is obviously to acquire more and more of the things that you have an affinity for or that you're drawn to. I feel though that there comes a time in every watch collector's journey where the thought of downsizing all of the watches and just having one really solid watch becomes a thought of almost all watch collectors. I know for me personally, I certainly have thought about this many times this week, because if we go back to my checkpoint, logically, it hits all of the checkpoints of things I would want for a daily watch. It also hits that emotional checkpoint where I'm so drawn to the design of this watch that I find myself just looking at my wrist to just look at the watch way more than I actually just look at the time. The complication having that true GMT function, if I were to ever go travel, I could bring this watch with me, use that isolated local hour hand feature. This has a date, so really it has all the information that I would need in a daily wear watch. And I've always kind of been a Rolex fanboy. I remember Rolex was one of the very first watch brands that I associated with nice watches. And so for me, I was thinking that I could get rid of all my watches and just have this watch. But unfortunately, there is one critical key factor in why I don't think this is a reality. I don't have a scale here in front of me, but if I were to put this watch on the scale, the number that it would read is a lot higher than is probably best for a daily wear watch. And in my week of wearing this, that is really the one biggest standout thing that is a slightly major con for this watch specifically. Obviously, this watch is big. But because it is big and it's a GMT, this thing really is a heavy watch. If you remember back to my Tudor Black Bay Pro review after 1 year of wearing it, the one gripe that I had really was the weight. What I'm gonna show you next may be a little disturbing. When I take off my watch and I show you my wrist, when you compare my left wrist to my right wrist, you can obviously see that my left wrist is literally dented. I believe this is a combination of the type of watches that I wear on a daily basis, stainless steel sports GMTs that are 39 to 42 millimeters in size, how long I wear the watches, they literally never leave my wrist. And because of the weight and the heft, I don't want it to be loosey-goosey on my wrist. And so I wear my watches rather tight. I don't wear it tight enough to the point where I'm losing circulation, but if the watch was lighter, I could get away with wearing it a little bit looser. And it's for all of these reasons that I think it has literally affected the skin on my wrist. During my week of wearing this watch, that was the one really big major con that I think prevents me from selling all of the watches in my collection and only having this one. Because there have been multiple times where I have wanted to just take off this watch and not wear a watch for a while, because of the discomfort that I have felt. And so though I have worn this watch nonstop throughout the last 2 weeks, I have taken it off multiple times and worn something like my Smiths or something that is small and lightweight just to take a break from the weight of this watch. But of course I hated doing that because all I want to do is wear this watch. I'm still very much in the honeymoon phase with this watch. And so one of the other ways that I really found was able to help alleviate that weight was putting it on different straps. My favorite straps so far that I have tried on with this watch would probably be the Artem Hydroflex. I've been wearing Hydroflex straps on my watches for like a year and a half now, and truly, honestly, I think it is just the comfiest strap. Specifically on the Explorer 2, not only does it really add color and depth and some fun to the watch, but it was so nice to just have a break from the weight of the heavy Oyster bracelet and just wear something fun like this orange Hydroflex. And though I do love the Hydroflex, I really am just a bracelet guy. And so even though it was comfy and it was nice to take the weight off of my wrist, I just yearn to have this watch on a bracelet. And so I think the conclusion is that I'm not going to sell all my watches. This really couldn't be just a one watch collection for me, but certainly this is at the top of my list of my favorite watches within my collection. I've only had this watch for a little over a month now, but really my consensus on this watch is that this watch just feels like it was made for me. I know that's a crazy stretch, but on a checklist level and on an emotional level, this watch just really does it for me. And honestly, I'm just so hyped to have my Grail watch. I've wanted this watch for like 2 years now, and I finally ended up getting it. I talked about all this in my I got my Grail watch video, so go ahead and watch that if you have not already. But as always, I appreciate you guys to sticking to the end of this video. But I'm curious, I want to know, if you were to sell all of your watches within your collection and only have one as a dedicated one watch collection watch, which one would it be? I'm curious and I want to know. I think that's going to be a wrap on today's video. I'm actually about to head up to the lake. Another sneak peek. Got my swimsuit on. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.